same site that I go on occasionally to laugh at old pictures of me is also where I get to laugh at new pictures of me now. But welcome to the buzz.
Hi, I'm your co-host Sabrina Heisick.
Hi, I'm filling in for Lewis. I'm Caitlin. Hi.
And I'm Campbell Diamond, sports contributor as well.
Well, good morning, guys. We're so happy to have you guys here with us today. Before we start off the show, I just wanted to say that, it's a really exciting time for radio right now. We have College Radio Day coming up on October 2nd. We have the Hamilton Trivia Night, and we have a bunch of other holidays. And I don't know if you guys realized, but yesterday was actually the first day of fall. So happy second day of fall, everyone.
Hey.
Hey, and you know what that means? All right, I wrote down the statistics here. 38 more days until Halloween, 64 more days until Thanksgiving, 93 more days until Christmas, and 100 more days until 2020 is over.
Imagine just 2020, like there is no end to it. Like instead of like it just being from December 31st to January 1st, it would be December 32.
Wow,
we're just stuck in December.
Harley, what a thought. You could write a movie about that, just being stuck in 2020, a full-length horror film, being 2020 forever and ever. All right, guys.
That would be very scary.
Yeah, well, why don't you kick it off, Caitlin, with our newscast?
Okay, so good morning for 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair. My name is Caitlin Arisisava, and I'm here with your 8:02 news update. First off, for local news, Hurricane Teddy is making its way through the Atlantic Ocean, causing rough waters in the Jersey Shore area. According to NJ.com, the storm has been, quote, causing beach erosion along parts of the Jersey Shore the past few days, end quote. North Wildwood has lost about 300,000 cubic yards of sand since the beginning of August, which could cost between $3 and $5 million to replace. For national news, according to NPR.org, the U.S. has lost more than 200,000 people to COVID-19, a number once thought to be a high estimate of how the virus would impact Americans. Now has experts worried that the death toll will double before the end of the year. Caitlin Rivers, an epidemiologist at the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, said if the numbers continue to rise, quote, COVID-19 will likely be the third leading cause of death after heart disease and cancer, end quote. And for international news, China plans to go carbon neutral by 2060. In a speech on Tuesday, the president said that, quote, humankind can no longer afford to ignore the repeated warnings of nature, end quote, and is calling for a green revolution. This will be a challenge for China, who relies heavily on coal for their electricity. And for weather, in Montclair, New Jersey, it is currently 57 degrees, with a high of 79 degrees and a low of 55 degrees. There is a 10% chance of rain today, and we will have 65% humidity with a sunset at 6:51 p.m. This concludes your news update for September 23rd, 2020. I'm Caitlin Arisisava. Back to you guys.
Excellent. And now I think it's about time for our 2-minute warning, our new spot, specifically for sports, with Campbell Donovan. Take it away, Campbell.
Thank you, Carly. The New York Football Giants will sign running back formerly of the Atlanta Falcons, Devontae Freeman, to a 1-year, $3 million deal to fill the void of losing Saquon Barkley towards ACL Sunday in a loss to the Chicago Bears. The new field turf as well, installed at MetLife Stadium, has passed inspection because after 90 San Francisco 49ers players were complaining about the field conditions after multiple players have been injured and some of them are out of the season. The Niners will stay in the area because they also play the Giants this Sunday. The last few days of the 60-game MLB regular season winds down with 3 division winners are now crowned in total. The Dodgers last night have won the NL West, and the Braves have clinched the NL East, joining the Oakland Athletics, who recently clinched the American League West title. The Mets did spoil the Tampa Bay Rays clinching party last night, defeating them 5-2. Pitcher Seth Lugo did throw 7 strikeouts as both Robinson Cano and Pete Alonso hit home runs. Garrett Cole and the Yankees defeated Toronto by a score of 12-1. Cole gaining 7 strikeouts as Aaron Hicks went 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. Also in baseball news, Baltimore Orioles first baseman Trey Mancini, who was diagnosed with colon cancer, has completed his final chemotherapy treatment and received a heartwarming gift from his team on social media that has been plastered throughout the past few 24 hours. In the NBA, despite a LeBron James triple-double, the Denver Nuggets were able to hold the Lakers as they won 114-106, only down 2-1 now, with two double-doubles from Jamal Murray and Nikola Jokic. The other series will continue tonight as Jason Tatum and the Celtics look to tie things up with the Miami Heat leading the series 2-1. The WNBA playoffs saw the Las Vegas Aces defeat the Connecticut Sun 83-75, and the Seattle Storm beat the Minnesota Lynx 88-86. Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Final will be settled tonight as the Tampa Bay Lightning and Dallas Stars look to take a 2-1 series lead putt drop at 8 o'clock. And also in college football news, Notre Dame and Wake Forest will be postponed due to 7 Notre Dame football players testing positive for the virus and 13 already in isolation. That is your sports news today for the 2-minute warning. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Gamble. Just how many players in Notre Dame? Like 13?
13 in isolation, 7 have tested positive.
Oh
and
my
they've already
God.
canceled their game and possibly next week as well.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That is crazy.
I mean, it's so interesting when you hear like the statistics for like different colleges too. Like I was just looking yesterday, Montclair has 8 positive cases of COVID on campus, but then there's Rowan that has actually like over 200 right now. So it's like relatively speaking, we're actually doing pretty good. But thank you guys so much. Caitlin, I just want to say your newscast today really had a lot of very important information in it, besides the fact that we hit over 200,000 cases today, which I'm not today, it happened a few days ago, but the fact that that happened is unbelievable. And I was pleasantly surprised to see though that about China and how they have a plan about making things greener and climate change. And just this morning I was reading, actually I was watching a TikTok, if I'm being perfectly honest, and Carly, don't judge me. Caitlin,
You were
don't
reading a
judge me.
TikTok?
I
Like
wasn't
we
reading a
gotta
TikTok. I was, I was watching a TikTok and it had like a news article and the person was talking in front of it. So I was like reading it and watching it at the same time.
but they're in front of
front
it.
of
How can
me.
you like see the text?
Because they have like the green screen, like, you see my my
Oh.
green screen background. It was like a news article. So I was like reading it and okay, anyways, I swear I'm not crazy. But it was
Okay.
talking about how important it is that we do something today about climate change and how in 7 years there's really no going back, which is such a terrifying thought, like we think
Mhm.
about our future and like our children. So I am glad to see that China has somewhat of a plan and I hope they really follow through with it.
Yeah, definitely. Did you see the clock they put in New York that will
Yeah.
tell you like when the
That was part of the TikTok I watched. Yeah, no.
yeah.
There's correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a clock that says like in New York City and it shows like how much time there's left that we have to fix our earth before like there's no going back regarding climate change.
And it's not a lot of time.
It's 7 years, I believe, which
Yes.
is
Terrifying.
terrifying. And at first, for the longest time, I thought it was 2050. Like there's no going back after 2050. Like this is what they've been saying for the past few years. But I think with the California wildfires, that definitely took an immense toll on our climate and our environment, which is terrible.
Mhm.
And I was just telling this to my mom the other day too, that if it weren't for the California wildfires, because of the pandemic, people like our earth actually has been doing better because there's been less transportation and less people have been driving places, through quarantine. And if it hadn't been for all the wildfires and hurricanes, we'd be doing better. But of course, that happened. But yeah.
Definitely, like, just the one other thing that even if like we're all like in quarantine and all that, we still use up like a lot of energy. Like if you really think about it, because we got to turn on our lights. For example, I'm in the studio where there's all lights. We got to turn on our like heat and AC and like obviously our computers and their chargers and all those little other things. Just keep in mind, like I really recommend keeping in mind like how much energy you use throughout the day. Like I initially was like, okay, maybe I'll turn the lights off in the studio because one, it's too early and I'm tired, and two, obviously conserving energy. But then I realized we're on Facebook Live. They won't be able to see me, so it'll look like I'm on the witness protection program if I do that.
Yeah. It's like very bittersweet being on Facebook Live because I had to get up earlier this morning. I was like, I can't just show up in my pajamas like the
I got a
last few
sweater.
times. I gotta like look somewhat decent because people are gonna be seeing my face and like, I don't want to scar them, you know? Like, no, but Facebook Live audience, we're happy to have you guys.
Yeah, welcome to the show, yo. But I think we should get going when it comes to our news today. So our first story of the hour is the investigation in the death of Breonna Taylor is still ongoing with the state of Kentucky, specifically the city of Louisville, Kentucky, under a state of emergency in preparation for their decision today, which we don't have much information on regarding what the decision is and when they'll make it. We initially assumed that it would be decided by the time we went to air today, but that is not the case. So Louisville is under a state of emergency where parts of Louisville are being barricaded in preparation for any results, such as protests. There are still protests going on even after the settlement we talked about a couple of weeks ago, I believe. And right now, the city of Louisville is deciding whether or not to prosecute the officers involved. And I know Lewis last week or a week ago made an argument why they wouldn't be prosecuted, but do you guys really think there's going to be some form of action taken this year? Not this year, but sometime this week?
I don't know. It's such a complicated case. It really is. And Lewis really described it well last time and made me see like both perspectives of why like it is such a hard decision for the law to make. But I don't know, Carly. I really don't know.
I want to hope that something's going to happen. That's like in my mind, I'm just praying that there is some type of consequence, but
exactly.
Yeah. I feel like we always hope for what we think is right to happen, but in reality it's like it's a 50-50 shot with this kind of stuff, you know. Like we don't know what goes inside like the government's head and what they're thinking, and law is just so complicated. Like it really is. I mean, I don't know. I know, Caitlin, you said you're a communications major, right?
mm-hmm.
Okay. And like Carly's also communications. Like I'm a film
Journalism.
major. Oh, I'm sorry, journalism major.
It's fine. It's under the same building.
Yeah, but it's just there's to get really into law, I feel like you need to know all your facts. And like
Right.
personally, I don't know all the facts and I don't know all the rules. But I mean, of course I want there to be justice for her.
Of course.
But we'll see what happens. And speaking of this whole story with Breonna Taylor, I actually was reading a story yesterday which I thought was very relatable to this story about her. So I'm going to share it with you guys. But basically, there are similar problems going on in South Africa. There was actually, okay, I just want a disclaimer. This is a very sad story, but I'm sharing with you guys because it's very important. So basically in South Africa, there was a 16-year-old boy. He was named Nathaniel Julies, and he was severely disabled with Down syndrome and was barely able to form sentences. He was also mixed heritage, and he was shot and killed by 3 police officers. 2 of the police officers who were also mixed heritage, so colored like him, and 1 who was Black. And reading about this story was completely heartbroken because the family talked about like when he left, and they said that like he had just finished dinner when he slipped out, and apparently in some search for some chocolate chip cookies that were sold at the nearby store. And his family believes that he may have been shot when the officers tried to question him about something, and he could not understand why he was unable to answer because of his disability.
That's horrible.
And then reading more into this, I discovered that on average, 1 South African dies in a police action every day, which is beyond terrible. But of course, because of this, there have been protests, and the police have actually been moving aggressively to disperse them. But the authorities have pledged that there will be justice in the killing of Nathaniel Julies. But then I looked more into like South Africa and their issues with police brutalities, because I was kind of fascinated, like, how is this, like, what is this normal, and apparently, according to this one area in KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa, people have experienced strangulation, suffocation, and tubing during police raids and interrogation. And it's not uncommon to be beaten, punched, or kicked or slapped when you resist the police in this area of South Africa, which I find completely shocking. And
It is.
yeah, and it's crazy, when we think of police brutality here, we always assume it's what we hear of, like it's the white police officer being mistreating the Black citizen, the Black person. And it's crazy when you look here at South Africa and it's like Black colored beating on Black and colored. And it's interesting in a way to see how different it is, but it's terrible. It's terrible to see that this is a problem that's like so global, and that it happens everywhere.
Plus, like, South Africa's history is in some ways similar to America's when it comes to issues regarding civil rights. Like, in the 1990s and well, in the 80s, 1990s, there was like apartheid, which was a racially segregated system. And I'm a huge fan of Trevor Noah. Some of you guys might not know that, but I actually saw him live once, and he seemed very nice. He seemed very cute. But like in his like autobiography, Born a Crime, like he talks about all these issues when it comes to like essentially being, quote, born a crime in South Africa during apartheid, because his mom was like, his dad was white, and at that time it was illegal for him to be born, and like he dealt with all these things when it comes to racial identity simply because he was in an area where if his mom was found, and I believe she would be put in jail, and his like him being with his own family, that would be at stake. And stuff like this, it's horrible. And the fact that this isn't really like international news is shocking. Like, even yes, it is international news, obviously, but like the fact that it's not headlines in like the New York Times, even like on the AP, just this is something that we need to be more aware of, because it's not just in America.
Yeah, no, and the fact is too, this kid was literally disabled. He could barely form a sentence. And it's like, how was he expected to defend himself against these police officers? And you look at police officers and you're supposed to think like, oh, these guys are going to help me. They're going to stand by me and they're going to protect me. And it's like, to think that in this area, they have to live in fear of the police officers, and everyone. Exactly. It's really scary.
It's disturbing.
Yeah, definitely. It really highlights the abuse of power, though. And I mean, we've seen that, like, studies have been done on that. There's the Stanford prison experiment, and it really turns into abuse of power, and it's sad to witness.
What's the Stanford prison experiment?
So pretty much, okay, I don't remember who did it. I don't remember the names. I'd have to look it up, but pretty much they had two groups of people, and the one it was like a prisoner and then like the prison guard, and you watch them kind of abuse their power and treat the prisoners like less than because they were given the title of prison guard. So I'm pretty sure they switched too. So like the one group was the prisoners and then the next group was the prison guard. Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't remember all the details, but basically in the end it kind of showed you how that title made the person think that they had all this entitlement, and then they started treating the prisoners badly for no reason really, except for the fact that they could.
No, I remember learning about that too, and I took a human behavior class in high school, and I'm pretty sure we learned about that experiment. But no, you have a good point. It's all about control and wanting to have control over people, and I really hate that. I'm one of those people, when people act controlling towards me, I am right away like turned off. Like, I don't want to be around you. I don't want to be your friend. I remember I had one situation where the one time I was pulled over by a police officer when I was driving. I had just gotten my license. It was 2 months in, and I got pulled over, and I didn't even know why. Not for nothing, like I passed my my driver's test, the written portion, with like an 80. So like I just made it, but my driver's ed class was really bad. They didn't teach us anything. They just gave us the textbooks, and they were like, okay, learn. And they just made us sit there and literally read the textbook. So basically, I really didn't know a lot like my first few months into driving. But I remember I got pulled over by a cop. And of course, I was like so nervous, like I was like sweating, like shaking, and I had just come home from like a 9-hour shift where I worked, and the police officer came to my car, and he was like, I was like, oh, like, hi officer, like, why did you pull me over? And he looked at me and he goes, you know why I pulled you over? And I was like, no, I don't. I was like, what did I do? But just the way he said it made me feel so inferior compared to him, because the way he like presented himself, it made me feel like I had no power, like I was completely like powerless. And like the fact that I didn't know what I had done, like he 100% did not believe that. And that's my only real experience with like a cop. But I just didn't like how he assumed right away that I knew what I had done, because I was a new driver. I really didn't know what I did, and I thought it was fine.
It's just like something that might be like a funny story for you, might be like a life-threatening situation for someone
Yeah.
else. Like
Yeah,
that's
you're
what
right.
really stands
Yeah.
out. Because
No,
like
you
I
have a good
remember right around the death of George Floyd, like there was this trending tweet where someone had said, "Oh, if like something like that happened to me, where like I had an issue with a dollar bill or something," but that's a funny story for him. It's for what happened with George Floyd. Obviously, it was very tragic and like just disturbing. Because I haven't seen the video and I don't want to, because like that
You
makes
haven't seen the George Floyd video?
I haven't, and like
Oh.
it's just really disturbing.
No, it is. I remember the first time I saw it, I couldn't watch it. It was like I just so happened to turn on the news and I was watching it, but I did not expect to see that. And as you're watching it, what goes through your head is just pure disgust. And
Right.
yeah, but no, when going back to my story, when I think about it, yeah, like if I would have, it's possible that if I was a person of color or if I was black, it might not have been the same story. It could have been a different case. You know, I'd like to think not, but that's the reality we live in. That's the sadness of it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But as much as I don't want to move on, we do have to something a little bit lighter, but depends. So, do you guys know who Ellen DeGeneres is?
Of course.
Of course.
Okay. I have very weird feelings when it comes to Ellen DeGeneres. Like, but let's just get to the news first, and then I'll give you my opinion, like always. So, Ellen DeGeneres had, like, well, her show, The Ellen Show, or Ellen, I don't know, I've never watched it. Like, her show had debuted for its 18th season with a monologue that really stood out to some people. So, over the summer, former employees and interns on The Ellen Show had come out in I believe, a BuzzFeed news article discussing their mistreatment on the set of the show, and how Ellen, who's usually on air, like, you know, nice, be kind, always giving out things, dancing with kids, holding puppies, making people laugh and like scared sometimes. I don't know. All I know is like she jump scares people sometimes and it's bizarre. Um, so she realized, okay, it's time to acknowledge this. And she came out on stage and delivered a apology and made reference to the fact that, you know, on stage she'll be like the be kind person, but she's a different person off stage. And it's not just Ellen, it's several executives, including one that was like under investigation for, I believe, sexual harassment. And there is a lot of stuff going on. There is a internal investigation over at Warner Brothers where the studio is, and it's honestly, my feelings towards Ellen are mixed, because like I'm LGBT. I'm pansexual and I'm proud. And like for a lot of people, especially like older people that are like still getting used to like seeing LGBT people in the media. Ellen is like their gateway. A lot of people are comfortable with Ellen because, you know, she's nice, she's kind. Everyone loves Ellen. Everyone loves Dory the fish. I think was she Dory in Finding Nemo? Yeah, it's been a hot second since I've seen Finding Nemo. It's not my favorite Pixar movie. And like for me, knowing that like she's kind of like representative and all the stuff that she's done, not just like behind the scenes, but like there was something with Mariah Carey that like she bullied her into announcing that she was pregnant and she ended up having a miscarriage. It just, I don't exactly know how to feel about Ellen. Like, what are your feelings about her, guys? Out of curiosity.
Okay, I personally can't say a lot because I'm not that cultured on Ellen. I only watch Ellen in brief tidbits on YouTube, but I feel like you're being a little harsh on Ellen. And I read the article you posted in our script, Carly, and I thought she was just apologizing, and she was basically saying that, you know, she doesn't want the workplace to, you know, be like a place where people are uncomfortable, and she apologized for it. And I thought it was a good thing, and especially to come out and start it was her new season, right?
Yeah.
And to just be open and like tell everyone that this is not okay and that's not the type of workplace that she wants her studio to be like. I was like, good for you. You know, that's what people should do. They should come out and be open about it and then say they're going to try to fix it.
I don't know. Personally, it's just like she says a lot of things, but I don't see a lot of evidence. Like, for example, I could say to you guys, hey, I'm going to be a bodybuilder. Like, but if I'm like not showing like any proof, like if I'm not like providing images of me getting swole at the gym, like pumping iron.
I mean, do you want pictures of her like giving her crew members muffins? Like, what are you looking for? Like,
I mean, I'm looking for proof that she's at least a little bit more forgiving, because one of the things I remember reading about a former employee was they had a mental health issue and they needed to take time because obviously, you know, if you have like issues, you're more than like you should be allowed to take a break from a job until you get better. That person was fired. Like, and one of the changes that they made was you're allowed to have off on your birthday, but you still have less than like 5 days vacation allowed for any reason, for sick leave, for vacation, for whatever. And that doesn't sit right with me.
Yeah, I agree, because I get what you were saying, Sabrina, but I mean, I personally don't know all the specifics of everything. Like, I haven't read all the information, so I'm aware of that. But I think that when you have a show like that, she's had that show for years and she's like the head person on it. So for me, I feel like it's kind of hard to believe that you don't know what's happening in your own work environment. So to try and be a little bit more active, because I know I saw some tweets too that people were like, she seemed to kind of push the responsibility onto the producers, but as if like she doesn't play as much of a role as them. So even if a producer was doing this, like why wasn't she aware of that? So exactly. It's her show. So
I hate to disagree with you guys, but I'm gonna do it here. So basically, like just from my experience working, like I worked over the summer at an ice cream place with maybe like 20 people. There were little things that happened that my boss had no idea were going on. I had not me personally, but one of my close friends had a somewhat of a, not exactly sexual harassment case, but something where a coworker was saying very inappropriate things to her and making her feel very, very uncomfortable. And this is a place where only 20 people work. Ellen, there are a ton of people who work on that set, you know? And the fact that my small job that I worked at with 20 people and the boss and the assistant manager didn't even know about this, like, uncomfortableness and somewhat sexual harassment going on, like I'm not surprised that the people on the set of Ellen didn't know what was going on, because there are probably a lot more people on that set.
It's just like some of the stuff I saw like from like former employees, like I know like, you know, it's a big set, it's on a big studio lot and there's a bajillion people working on there. It just, some of the stuff where she like got, when they were doing rehearsals for a monologue, she would like throw it out and like say it was garbage to the person that wrote it. And maybe it's just me, like I've only been on the set of like 2 like live shows before, but like seeing how they work and like how the hosts treat staff Like, for example, as I mentioned before, sat in on an episode of The Daily Show with Trevor Noah, and like all the time, there were like employees there that were wearing hoodies, and like the hoodies were a gift from like Trevor, like to celebrate like Christmas and all that. And also, it's because it's also really cold in there, like insanely cold. So it just things like that. You can tell like a lot about the person that you work for by the little things, like making sure that like they're all warm, making like giving them customized hoodies. But
you don't know, maybe Ellen has given her crew customized hoodies. Like, you don't know the full story. You're just hearing the bad things. That's what a lot of the media does. They take the bad things out of situations that are like normal everyday situations. I mean, Ellen is a human, she's not always going to be happy with her co-stars. She's not always going to be nice. Like everyone, we all have breaking points. And the fact is that this show has been going on for so long, so many years. So, I mean, after a point, like, I don't blame her for getting hostile. I mean, of course, I don't want her to be rude or mean to her cast and crew. Of course, I'm not endorsing that, but I get why she might get cranky every now and then and not be happy, because with everyone that happens in life.
it's true, but at the same time, have you guys seen the thing where it's like Dakota Johnson called her out on air?
No, what happened there?
Okay, so pretty much Dakota Johnson was talking about her birthday party, and like Ellen was like, "Oh no, I wasn't invited." And then Dakota just like literally went after her saying, "Yes, you were invited. You just didn't come because you didn't want to." And like detailing all this stuff on air with like she had no chill, and I was all for it. But I don't know. Just I don't think it's worth brushing off because like we're in the school like I'm in the school communications. You guys aren't. Haha, I'm flexing on you guys, but
No,
like,
we are.
no, I mean literally. I'm literally in the school communications right now.
Oh, you're literally. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay, you're really flexing over there.
Yeah, I'm
Carly.
flexing.
Trying to make us feel bad.
Yeah, sorry. But what I mean is like a lot of the times like people like our age, because a lot of us, with the exception of our producer Amanda, hi Amanda, if you're still here, like a lot of us here are sophomores. We're right around the time where we're going to be starting to do internships, and just trying to brush it off as just, oh, it's something that can't really be handled. It's such a big crew. Like if it was someone like us, like we'd want if it was us, we'd want someone to do something about it, because no one has the right to feel uncomfortable at work. Like no one should ever be uncomfortable, even though that's bound to happen. Like obviously there's going to be times where someone is uncomfortable, but like if you feel uncomfortable, you have the right
Carly,
to
I'm
inform people.
uncomfortable.
Okay, I'm sorry for making this environment. What can I do to make sure that you're comfortable?
Um, Nothing. No, you're good.
Okay. Do you want me to like, I don't know, just change your virtual background or something? Like I can get a
I
picture.
should change my virtual background. I could put a picture of Kaya in the background.
Okay.
That was
Instead of the nice aurora borealis you got there.
Yeah, no, I'm really feeling it though. Like it like works. And like, not to say my background is terrible, but like my wall itself is kind of bland and boring. And this is cool because it like glows and I'm feeling it. I like the virtual backgrounds.
Campbell, I have to ask, what's your opinion on all this? Because like I realize you've been like quiet a lot of the time, and I'm just very curious.
Nah, I think I remember watching Ellen like as a kid, and then now like as like a young adult. Now I've been like seeing like videos like WatchMojo.com, like those like 10 moments where Ellen has like gone overboard and stuff. I've like watched YouTube videos of her like knowing what she's been doing like behind the scenes, and it's kind of sad because like sometimes you get that in life where like you have like people like in the work environment where like you think that they're like this like great person influentially, but then like you get behind the scenes and you think to yourself, oh, this person is just like terrible. It's like you can't work with this person. And you've seen it around media as well, like news, entertainment and stuff. And I get what Sabrina said when she apologized to her fans and her producers and stuff, but I mean, if it's something that's been going on for like a few years. Something's gotta like be done about it. I'm not saying like, oh, we should cancel Ellen just because this has been going on for years, but like we can all like talk about like the situation like that she's been going through and stuff. And I think it should work out in the end. But I mean, we don't have to like get on Ellen just for some stuff, but we can. But it's just too. It's like difficult with the predicament we're in right now with all the virus and stuff. So
Yeah, no, that's
Exactly.
very true. And I feel like the real test is going to be like now what happens, you know? Like if she actually makes the change. And that'll be her true judgment, you know, like how we can truly judge her, you know? Because some people, we all make mistakes, but it's how you recover from your mistakes. And if she's able to make her work environment a happy place once again, or maybe it was never a happy place, but if she can make her work environment a happy place and her cast and crew happy, I think that'll definitely help save her name, you know?
Of course.
All right. Well, moving on, guys, to our next story. So I know the pandemic has been going on and so much has been on our minds between the facts, what's real, what's not real, the deaths, the outbreaks, the healthcare systems, politics. I've noticed that like we don't talk as much about the major life events that have been altered because of COVID. And I know what many of you guys might be wondering, you know, like have people been getting married throughout this pandemic? To answer the question I asked to myself, yes, indeed, people have chosen to get married during the pandemic. Some have chosen to have micro weddings, while others have chosen to postpone their weddings. Some people have even decided to have a small ceremony this year and then plan to have a big party once it is safe to do so. But what's interesting about these intimate small weddings is that they've only been with either like a few family members and maybe a few friends, and in some cases, no one at all. But a lot of people who actually have gotten married during this pandemic have stated that they have been more personal and special, which I find to be very interesting, as well as they have been more affordable because, of course, it's a smaller vendor, there's less food, there's less decorations, less invitations to give out. Some people have even live streamed the wedding so others could watch. And I just felt like this is something that's very relevant in today's world and hasn't been discussed much. And I wanted to know your opinions on weddings and during the pandemic. And I don't know if you guys know anyone who's gotten married during the pandemic, or just like, what are your thoughts? Would you ever consider getting married during a pandemic? Anyone?
That's it's I feel like at the beginning of the pandemic, everybody started postponing their weddings and pushing everything off. But now I keep seeing everyone kind of has the mindset like, oh, we're 6 months into a pandemic. Like, we might as well just do it. Because on my Instagram timeline, I have been seeing so many people get married. I don't know why. Nobody personally that I know, but just people in general. Because I follow a lot of like, not influencers, but just like celebrities. Like Elizabeth Gillies just got married. She was on Victorious.
Oh, Jade West. Oh, I
Yes,
love
she
her.
just got married. So I keep seeing people getting married and it just kind of blows my mind a little because I'm just like, oh, we're like, okay, I guess we're going back to normal. I don't know. But I keep seeing timelines on my timeline. But also the other day was driving with my friends in Montclair. We went to get food and we drove by this park and there was like an outdoor wedding. And I was just amazed. I was like, oh my God, there's like people sitting, and I don't know, they were like 6 feet apart. They were all outside. It was really interesting to just see that this is like kind of the new normal, but it is like,
I don't know. Personally, like the idea of having a wedding, like especially during all this, first and foremost, I'm glad that like we're no longer doing big show, big name, big everything weddings because not everyone can afford a big tent or like a fancy country club with people playing the violin or like little things like I don't know, table settings and who's sitting where and all these little details. And I'm really glad that people are just fine with doing small ceremonies. Just like go to just how I want to do it. Just literally go to your town hall and just like fill out a certificate with a witness.
Yeah, no, and actually my cousin just got married this year, and
Oh,
that's what she
congrats.
did. Yeah, no, she went to the town hall, just her and her boyfriend, and they got married, just the two of them. And it was very at first weird to hear about because that's not what you usually hear. But regarding the circumstances and as a way to ensure that like no one catches this disease, God forbid, I support it, and love is love. And I feel like if I was in a situation where I was deeply in love, oh, that'd be nice. But if I was deeply in love
Oh,
and my boyfriend and I wanted to get married, I would say go for it. I feel like this is good because it really makes people appreciate the little things. And I feel like so many people just fixate on, oh, I got to have a big wedding with tons of people, big vendor, big cake. And it's just like, do you really need all that?
exactly.
I hate to
Yeah,
sound,
definitely.
I'm literally like such a mom. Like, like, you know,
No, it's true though, because I feel like going and getting the certificate and doing that, like first of all, that's the smart and safe choice. So there's that. And also it just kind of makes you realize how nice that little intimate ceremony is between like just you and your significant other. Like if I was in that situation, um, I would probably wait it out because I feel like it's a lot to have a wedding right now.
mhm. I mean, I feel like it also depends on like the circumstances of your family and friends, and if you have anyone who's like sick, like of course, if I had someone who was in my family who was sick, I would not have a wedding. But personally, I would do a wedding. It would just be small, and I would have like my immediate family and maybe like a few close friends. But especially during the summer, like what a great time to have it. You could have your outdoor wedding. Sure, you have to be spread apart, but it's okay. At least you'd still have people there and you could always live stream it. And, you know, love is love.
Exactly. I don't know. Imagine just like having like a Zoom call like for a wedding and like someone like your grandma has like a virtual background or something. Like, what do you have to do? Like, that's the
My grandma doesn't know how to use a laptop,
Oh
Carly.
yeah, same. My grandma doesn't know how to use the internet.
My
Like
grandma
she,
doesn't even know what the internet is. She literally doesn't even understand that we're in a pandemic. And last time I checked, she thought we were at war with Russia, and that's why everyone was home. So I live with my grandma too. She's a lot of it,
oh,
but we love her. So
wait, so she thinks that like why would everyone be wearing masks if we're having war with Russia? That's a
well, she doesn't really leave the house, so she doesn't really see us.
okay.
Well, because she's from Croatia, and when she was like a young
Oh,
girl, they were at war for a long time, I believe, with Russia. Don't I can't guarantee that 100%, but I believe, and that's why she's going back to. I live in a fun household.
literally like I don't know, because what if like you're having a virtual wedding, and like your little cousin who like decides to be like a prankster or goofball puts like a stupid like virtual background up where it's him, I don't know, just like doing like a dance or something. That would be I
Making a
could see a lot
TikTok
of
at my wedding.
yeah, just like TikTok dancing in the background, like he forgets to
See,
turn the
Carly,
camera
I
on.
would love that. I would be like, yes. I'd be like, stop the ceremony. Everyone get up.
But literally, what if you're like doing the vows, like, and it's like the heartfelt thing that you've spent like hours, like days, months writing, and like you got like
Mhm.
tears on your face, and then all of a sudden you have like the kid doing Renegade in the background.
Well, I mean, you can like the host I know can disable like
But
like
like,
mute all the participants,
who
and
would be the host though? Would it be the officiant?
it could be like maybe like the well, I don't know, maybe like I was gonna say photographer, but I guess one of the people who are there at the wedding. Because I don't think when you're like saying your vows and like about to kiss the bride, you'll be staring at the Zoom, looking at the little boy dance, like that's definitely to the side. So I
Like,
feel
what if
like,
you're on gallery view, like we are right now?
Carly, that's not what they're going to be paying attention like on if they're about to get married.
I don't know. Like maybe it's because like people would be like, okay, guys, now we're gonna do a quick like screenshot for the wedding pictures, and like you just like take a screenshot and it's just like some kid hitting the dab.
Okay, our producer Amanda just said that there is a webinar mode on Zoom and
But
that it
like,
could work. So Carly, I'm sorry, but I won this battle.
what I mean is like not everyone would know there's webinar mode. I didn't even know until right now. So like maybe someone could just do a gallery because they're so used to it because they do it at work, school, whatever. And now like they're trying to do the ceremony, but the kid is hitting the dab too hard and they can't really continue. Just relatable 2020 memes.
All
I wish
right.
it was 2010. But do you think we should move on? Because like I have a lot of more arguments with this. But
You have more arguments with this against
like,
weddings during the pandemic?
I have arguments against
I feel
Zoom
like,
weddings. Like I'm fine with like live streaming it, but like Zoom.
well, that's what it would probably be. I mean, like live streaming, you could live stream basically through Zoom in the webinar mode, as you're getting married, and just put it off to the side. It's not like you're standing there right in front of the camera,
What if there's like a prankster that comes in and is like,
Okay.
yeah, like because I
No.
once was at like I don't know, a book club and like pranksters came in and just like started blasting like rude stuff at us. And I think we should move on. I'm overthinking this a lot, but speaking of overthinking things a lot, there is this unique like I still can't wrap my head around this. There's this like marine biology documentary that made a lot of waves in like nature film festivals, and now it has come ashore onto Netflix. I'm going to use all these horrible puns. Bear with me, guys. So it's this documentary called My Octopus Teacher, which is about this diver in the like South African coast befriending an octopus. Yeah, like I don't know if the octopus has a name, but the diver's name is Craig Foster. He said like it took him a while to make friendship. Like it was like a day. It took him like days and weeks before the octopus could come out and be friends with him. And it was like one of the things that he does a lot, which is like diving. It's his daily diving thing, and it was something that helped him deal with depression. And one of the big takeaways is like he said, quote, your own role and place in the natural world is singularly the most precious gift we've been given. And it's so fascinating because like octopi are like known for like being really intelligent and empathetic, almost as like empathetic and intelligent as like humans. They are insane. But do you think octopi are like now man's best friend compared to like dogs?
Well, I mean, he's the first person I know of who has a pet octopus. But no, I definitely feel like the natural world and like animals themselves definitely have a immense toll on people's mental health. And I love the fact that, well, when I was reading this article, sorry, this lighting is so weird. It looks like you see like the little lines
Looks
on my
like you
face.
got stripes.
Yeah, it looks like I have a bad case of stripes. But it's just it's amazing when you see the effect the natural world has on you, and how something as simple as like diving and befriending an octopus can just make you instantaneously happy and help you with your mental health. I think that's fantastic. And I definitely see that a lot with like dogs nowadays and cats and pet therapy.
But an octopus, though, that's weird to think about. Like, specifically because, I don't know, I'm allergic to shellfish, so, like, I don't really know much about octopi outside of just one, like, thing I read as a kid. But thinking about, like, how literally it's so bizarre because, like, I'm so used to seeing, like, stories about, like, guy and dog, best friends forever, dog, I don't know, like, drove a car or something to help his owner. And like thinking like octopus helps man with depression. It sounds like an Onion article. I don't know about you guys.
An Onion article. No, I know what you mean. But I like it. I like it. I want to hear more octopus stories. I think the Sea World, like not Sea World, not okay, I don't like Sea World, but like the actual underwater world with all these animals, they're not talked about enough. And I feel like Caitlin's nodding her head. I guess she agrees with me, but there's so many like discoveries waiting to happen in this underwater world that we don't know about. And I like that we're also bringing there's a Netflix documentary about it too. So I think that's great. It's definitely bringing awareness to it. Caitlin, do you have anything to add on to our conversation?
I mean, there really is a lot of mystery, so there's definitely lots to do there. But I feel like reading this, it surprises me. Like I just can't believe it, but it's also so wholesome. Like it makes me smile. It's like, oh, that's like the
Yeah.
highlight of my day. That's cute.
No, I
Good
I
for
really
him.
agree. It's like it makes me think of like me and my dog and like the relationship we have, which is very like bittersweet. Like sometimes I love my dog, but like sometimes I hate him. Like I really do not like Spotty. If you're listening to this, sometimes I love you, sometimes I don't. Like, but he definitely like helps with my mental health and just making me feel more love for the world. Even though you want to hear a story. So one day, my dog, so he's like, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. Me and my dog are up watching TV with each other, right? You know, he's like on my lap, and and then he like starts barking because he wants to go outside and like run around and like go to the bathroom. So I let him outside, and then he comes back to the door, and he's like barking, barking. So like I open the door and I let him back in, and I see something hanging from his mouth, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm like, what is that? What is that? And he runs into the living room on the carpet and drops what he has in his mouth out, and he had a frog in his mouth, a dead frog. And
What?
that's when I was like, Spotty, I hate you. I can't believe you would do this. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, and of course me, I'm so squeamish. I don't like reptiles. I hate snakes. I don't like bugs. Of course, I might have screamed a little bit. Okay. I ran up into my brother's room and I woke my little brother up and I was like, you need to come downstairs and help me get this frog out of the room because I couldn't do it. It's just, no, like I'm not about that life. But yeah, so I have like a love-hate relationship with my dog. I don't know. Can you guys relate to me in any sense?
I mean, my dog hates me. Like he's this.
What?
My dog is like the best I can describe him is he's like this grumpy old man in a little fur coat. Like he's a bizarre little creature because like he acts like a human, and I don't think he's really come to the terms with the fact that he's a dog.
Interesting.
Like he thinks, okay, I have schedules now. I'm only allowed to, when I was like in quarantine with him, I was only allowed to pet him like early in the morning, and that was it. There was like, if I missed that window, he'd get like really angry at me. If he was like sitting on my mom's bed, I couldn't go near that or else he'd freak out.
Wow.
And like the funny thing is like he's a really good dog nonetheless. Like I love taking him out on walks. It just thinking about it now,
So, okay,
it's
no,
so
finish.
like there was one time where I was walking him and there was a section of like road that was being paved and I was like, all right, Rico, I was gonna like scoop him up and he's like, no, I don't want to be scooped up. And I'm like, okay, maybe we can walk around the other side. He's like, no, I don't want to go on that side either. So he was like determined to cross that street even though I made it very clear, dude, no, no.
I
And
love how I love how you're talking, like when you talk about him, you're saying he said as if he literally
yeah, like it's
spoke.
literally he just honestly I would not be surprised if he just like started like walking on two legs and just like started like like saying weird stuff.
So basically you're trying to I'm like, oh, like animals help with your mental health, and you're saying, no, not my dog. Rico
Like
scars me. Rico wants
Rico
to fight. Is
Rico, I
Rico
mean like he's a sweet dog and I love him. It just like sometimes he's like
would you say he helps with your mental
oh
health?
yeah, he helps a lot with my
Okay.
mental health. Like I actually saw him last week and I was so glad because I hadn't seen him in a month. And he kind of forgot who I was for a bit and
Oh,
I love him so much. Like he realized, wait a minute, she's here. This is her. I have a picture of him on my phone somewhere.
okay. Well, as you pull that up, Carly, we're gonna move on to our last story. So Wendy Williams actually just had the premiere for her season 12 of the Wendy Williams show on Monday, and she announced on the show that she allegedly lost some weight in quarantine and hasn't weighed this little since high school. Williams stated, start quote, I've lost 25 pounds and I didn't do it on purpose. It's just that food became disgusting to me, end quote. she added on saying that she started quarantine and was actually eating a lot, but then all of a sudden she just felt done with food. And she even said this during her premiere, start quote, when quarantine is over, you've got to get back on the hunt if you're a single woman, end quote. And I just find this story very fascinating because as someone who has struggled with like weight loss and like, trying to stay in good shape, I don't understand how someone could just wake up one day and be like, food is disgusting. I'm done with it. I'm done with it. I don't want no more food. Like, I don't like ice cream. It's disgusting. Like, am I the only person who's like, how does that happen? How does someone think like that? I kind of wish I thought like that because then maybe I'd be like skinny, but like, I don't,
I
I
don't
mean,
know.
what do you guys think about this?
Like, I have no idea personally. Like, good for her if she wanted to lose the weight. It's just like, I don't know. People should be eating. Like, that's like the main thing. Like, people should be getting like 3 meals a day at most, like at least. Like, hold on, I have another picture of my dog. This is
Lovely.
the only person he likes is my boyfriend, and that's really funny for me.
That's interesting.
But like, literally, just trying to like brush off something like, okay, like I like this is during quarantine, like I won't be eating this, that, and the other thing. I don't know. I feel like people should strive to get like balanced meals every day. Like,
Yeah, and especially someone who's like an influencer,
yeah,
I have a very difficult time telling my large audience that I was just done with eating, like it just became disgusting to me. And I really don't think that's normal too. As someone who loves food, I don't know how you could just wake up and be like, ew, I don't
right.
want I don't want to eat ice cream ever again. No more burgers, no more waffle fries. Waffle fries, my favorite thing. Even though they're not good for you. Ooh, fried pickles. Okay, wait. So,
Fried pickles are amazing. I
right?
haven't had them in a while.
Wait, I'm sorry, guys. I know this is kind of off topic, but like, what's your favorite foods?
It's a good question. Rice balls. Like it's like these Japanese rice balls where it's like I think it's like white rice with seaweed wrapped around it, and like the inside is like this Japanese sour plum. It's so delicious for me. Like I love it a lot.
That sounds good.
Yeah, that does sound really good. I
There's
feel
not a lot of
I
places
was gonna
like
say rice. Rice is my
Really?
favorite food. Like I could just eat rice. That's it.
Oh, you guys really like rice.
wait,
Wow, okay.
Campbell, what's your favorite?
I'm gonna have to go with, so when I go up to Rhode Island, they make clam balls, like, so they get clam meat and they put it in handmade like dough, and they fry them, and they're in different shapes. It's like so amazing.
That
So
sounds
when I'm
amazing.
up there, it's just like awesome.
So it's like fried clam?
Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. I think see, I'm like one of those people who's like, I need the genre of food because like I have my own favorite fruit, my own favorite dessert, my own favorite meal. Like there's a different level of everything.
Did you just
Um,
say genre instead of type?
genre works too, whatever floats your boat. If we're going with dessert, okay, probably. Hmm, this is so I know I asked this question, but it's genuinely such a hard question because like I'm one of those people who eats literally everything. Like I'm not picky. I like it all. It's good. Okay, I know I said this on our first Morning Buzz show, one of my unpopular opinions, but I love vegetable pizza, which I know a
That's
lot of.
delicious.
Are you being for real? Thank you, Carly. I
Yes, I'm
agree.
being for
Oh
real.
my God, wait. Caitlin is nodding her head too. No, whenever I
Yeah,
talk,
that's
Your
good.
opinion's not
right?
unpopular. Haha.
What? No, okay, whenever I talk to like my guy friends and I'm like, like I love vegetable pizza, they're like, you crazy? Like you like vegetables on pizza? Like what are you talking about? And they're like, what about like pepperoni and like sausages? And I'm like, oh, like no. I mean, I like those too, but I just feel like they're so greasy and I don't like all that grease.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
All
Looks like we're
right.
coming to the last few seconds of our show, guys.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Caitlin, did you have fun being our newscaster?
I had a lot of fun with you guys. I'm glad I was on today's show. You guys are a fun group.
We
Thanks
hope to
for
have you
stopping
back
by.
one day.
It's great to see you again, Campbell, by the way. It's been a while since I've talked with you because we used to have like a class together, and honestly, it's weird not seeing you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. It's good to talk to you and everyone else here. I had fun saying my sports spiel and talk about other issues that's been going on around the country and the world.
Of course. All right, so that has, well, I gotta say, you're listening to 90.3 WMSC Upper Montclair, and that has been the Morning Buzz. Thank you guys so much for watching.
See you guys next week.
See ya.